welcoming you back to the desk of Caddicarus. Join us as we partake into a new installment of Current Quickies.
Hello, my ducky. Where the fuck is my hair gone? And this time, we're going to be having a look at The Last of Us. This game is excellent. Naughty Dog are one of my favourite game developers of all time, and from the second that I heard about The Last of Us from the release trailer, I was hyped from day one. Well, how is it then? Well...
Oh my god, this game is something else. If you decided one day to mix Uncharted and 28 days later, this is probably the gruesome outcome that you get. Once you get over the fact that Naughty Dog have gone from Crash Bandicoot to Crash and burn in the fathoms of hell, you creature from the fucking abyss! Then you'll be able to get sucked in. And when this game sucks you in, Christ almighty it sucks you in all of its cinematic and stylish glory. First of all, this is one of the single most best looking games I've ever seen in my life. It features some familiar Uncharted-esque set pieces and giant sweeping landscapes, and the amount of detail in every single area that you explore is simply mind-boggling, with every inch of these environments looking as polished and as perfect as the last, which is also apparent in the character models. The story is brilliant and wonderfully detailed on all corners, with the scraps of paper and diary entries scattered all over the place that really give this post-apocalyptic future a true soul and believability to it, and not to mention it's also full of incredibly dark twists, terrifically executed drama and tragedy, and extremely tough to stomach and heart-wrenching scenes,
which by the way made me cry a little bit and I'm not ashamed at all,
and character interaction. Speaking of characters, the way that Joel and Ellie interact with each other and how the subtleties of their relationship affect certain parts of the game is incredible and very genuine, and the partner AI even rivals Elizabeth in Bioshock Infinite. Also, the sound design is top-notch, and it's in some of the creepier parts of the game where the sound design really shines through and adds so much more depth and terror to some of the situations. Combine that with the pristine soundtrack and it all sends shivers up my spine for sure. Within the game, the survival aspect is great. Supplies are the most limited and treasured I've ever seen in a video game, and you'll find yourself exploring every single possible corner in order to find the tiniest scrap of supplies. And every single bullet that you pick up is a godsend, which is where the game really pushes you to approach every situation in a realistic manner, incorporating everything from suspenseful action to teeth-grating stealth, because you have little to no supplies throughout the entirety of the story, and every single use of every gun, bomb, or even melee weapon is limited, testing you in a way that I've never experienced before in a game. You can pick random items up and use them to craft items such as health kits and Molotov cocktails, but again, these items are limited. Personal and weapon upgrading is also welcomingly different, and every single thing, apart from pausing the game, is performed in real time. Everything that you do, from crafting to healing, is done in real time, and require no interruptions and all take time to do. This brings some much needed tension and properly raw survival gameplay into the mix, which I completely loved. Even things like your backpack size and rummaging around in it is completely and realistically panned out in the controls and the gameplay, and the way that you flick through the items in the backpack emulates exactly how panicked you would be in this situation. Also, not only are the infected a huge threat and with pretty creepy designs, but even the humans that you encounter are just as dangerous thanks to the refined enemy AI for all of the soldiers, resistance groups, scavengers, and the infected, which, when you combine all this together, is where you discover that the game does an incredible job of doing what it promises. It makes you feel like you truly are The Last of Us. You constantly feel edgy, truly alone, distrusting, and paranoid through the thick and oppressive atmosphere, and the game gives you plenty of time to question and reflect on all of your choices and actions towards other people and how you choose to survive as people and not heroes. And after the 17 hours I spent on the campaign alone, it really and spectacularly leaves you feeling empty and vulnerable, yet completely and utterly satisfied.
Now, despite all of that, there's a few nitpicks that I have with this game.
First off, as I said earlier, the way that the control works with the backpack and crafting perfectly emulates the real-life panic anyone would feel in this situation. However, obviously, this can become very frustrating as there is a lot to get your head around on your first playthrough, which more often than not leads to many clumsy and angry deaths just from learning the slightly fiddly intricacies of these controls. Also, for another little thing, there was no really insane wow factor in the game for me, after all that juice was already used for me in Uncharted 2, which isn't a bad thing at all, but it's more of a common normality for Naughty Dog games nowadays. But seriously, these are incredibly small nitpicks in an otherwise brilliant game, and Naughty Dog have fucking nailed it yet again. Not to mention even the online mode is a blast. And despite the overdone apocalyptic subject matter, this is truly an unforgettable experience and one that is entirely worth owning a PS3 over. It's definitely up there for best game of the year in my opinion, next to Bioshock Infinite, and it also further supports why Naughty Dog are possibly my favourite game developers of all time and why I think that PlayStation exclusives will always be the king.
I'm proud to award this game the legendary 10 out of 10.